Our reading today is from the conservationist Rachel Carson from her 1956 work that was called The Sense of Wonder. One stormy autumn night when my nephew Roger was about 20 months old, I wrapped him in a blanket and carried him down to the beach in the rainy darkness. Out there, just at the edge of where we couldn't see, big waves were thundering in, dimly seen white shapes that boomed and shouted and threw great handfuls of froth at us. Together we laughed for pure joy. He, a baby, meeting for the first time the wildness of ocean. I, with the salt of half a lifetime of sea love in me. But I think we felt the same spine-tingling response to the vast, roaring ocean and the wild night all around us. A night or two later, the storm had blown itself out, and I took Roger again to the beach, this time to carry him along the water's edge, piercing the darkness with the yellow cone of our flashlight. Although there was no rain, the night was again noisy, and breaking waves and the insistent wind. It was clearly a time and a place where great and elemental things prevailed. Our adventure on this particular night had to do with life, for we were searching for ghost crabs, those sand-colored, fleet-legged beings which Roger had sometimes glimpsed briefly on the beaches in daytime. But the crabs are chiefly nocturnal, and when not roaming the night beaches, they dig little pits near the surf line where they hide, seemingly watching and waiting for what the sea may bring them. For me, the sight of these small living creatures, solitary and fragile against the brute force of the sea, had moving philosophic overtones, and I do not pretend that Roger and I reacted with similar emotions. But it was good to see his infant acceptance of a world of elemental things, fearing neither the song of the wind, nor the darkness, nor the roaring surf, entering into the search with baby excitement. It was hardly a conventional way to entertain one so young, I suppose. But now, with Roger a little past his 4th birthday, we are continuing to share adventures in the world of nature, and I think the results are good. The sharing includes nature in storm as well as calm, by night as well as day, and is based on having fun together rather than teaching. A child's world is fresh and new and beautiful, full of wonder and excitement. It is our misfortune that for most of us, that clear-eyed vision, that true instinct for what is beautiful and awe-inspiring, is dimmed and even lost before we reach adulthood. If I had influence with the good fairy who is supposed to preside over the blessing of all children, I should ask her that her gift to each be a sense of wonder so indestructible that it would last throughout life, as an unfailing antidote against the boredom and the disenchantment of our later years, the sterile preoccupation with things artificial, the alienation from the sources of our strength. What is the value of preserving and strengthening this sense of awe and wonder, this recognition of something beyond the boundaries of human existence? Is the exploration of the natural world just a pleasant way to pass the golden hours of childhood, or is there something deeper? I am sure there is something much deeper, something lasting and significant. Those who dwell, whether scientists or laymen, among the beauties and the mysteries of the earth are never alone or weary of life. Whatever the concerns of their personal lives, their thoughts can find paths that lead to inner contentment and to renewed excitement in living. Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts. I like to remember the distinguished Swedish oceanographer Otto Pettersson, who died a few years ago at the age of 93, in full possession of his keen mental powers. His son related how intensely his father enjoyed every new experience, every new discovery concerning the world around him. He was an incurable romantic, the son wrote, intensely in love with life and with the mysteries of the universe. When he realized he had not much longer to enjoy the earthly scene, Pettersson said to his son, "What will sustain me in my last moments is an infinite curiosity as to what will follow." Six years ago, the choir from First Unitarian Society went on a pilgrimage choir tour to Transylvania. I was not a member of that choir. No one would ever want me in their choir, yet I was allowed to tag along anyway as the audience. I was a groupie, I guess. We started in Budapest, traveled to Romania, and then on to our partner church village of Nagyojta. In the village, we lived with members of the Unitarian Church, learning about their customs and their traditions, watching their beloved cows leave for pasture each morning and come home each evening, a really, really big deal, eating, laughing, and worshiping together. It was a phenomenal experience. The family that I lived with, a mom, a dad, 2 teenage daughters, spoke little or no English. We used an English-Hungarian dictionary and a lot of sign language to communicate. These were the most welcoming, gracious, and humble people that I have ever had the pleasure to live with. Becoming a part of their home has given the word hospitality a whole new meaning in my life. Each morning, they would chop wood to start a fire in the water heater in the bathroom so that I could have a hot shower, a luxury they afforded to themselves only once or twice a week. They did it for me every day. They would make sure to have breakfast foods that I liked, asking each day if there was anything else that I wanted. And each night they brought me blankets and glasses of water to make sure that I would have a good night's rest. Being so far away from home, they wanted all of us there to know that we had a home, a place where even though we were virtual strangers, we were wanted, accepted, cherished, and loved. Our last day in the village was a Sunday. The choir sang during service that morning, and Leventa, our partner church minister, gave a homily on partnership, friendship, and love that knows no bounds. After service, we were greeted by each member present that day and taken over to their fellowship hall where the women of the church had lunch waiting for us. We walked into a room with places set at a table, the men picking up instruments to play for us, the children lining up to show us their dances. We sat with our host families, trying desperately to share everything we could with them, knowing that we may never have the chance to see them again. The room was full of laughter, hugs, and many tears. As we were heading to our bus, the people of Nagyojta lined up alongside the road to see us off. The youth got on their bicycles in front of the bus, for they were going to ride with us out to the main road. It was at that moment, seeing the tear-streaked faces of men, women, and children waving to us as if they were losing their dearest friends, that I had my moment of transcendence. How could this be? I remember asking myself. 4 days ago, we were complete strangers who shared no common experience, no common language, only a common faith. A faith that tells us and them that God is one. We are one. In Leventa's sermon, he said, "Love knows no bounds of language or custom or tradition. Love only knows how to break into our hearts and open them to another. When you arrived here, we were brothers and sisters in faith. Now we are brothers and sisters in love." As we were boarding the bus, Everyone running back for one more kiss, one more hug, one more thank you. I felt intimately connected to that place. I felt relationally connected to those people. And I felt spiritually connected to our religious heritage and our religious ancestors who fought dearly so that our Unitarian faith could survive. Direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. This is the first source of our living tradition and the blessing that I received in a most unlikely place, in front of a bus on a dusty street in a small Romanian village on a bright and sunny Sunday afternoon. I think it says a lot about our faith tradition that our sources begin with our own personal, direct experience. When I lead our new UU sessions, I always say that our 7 Unitarian Universalist principles are what hold us together, and our 6 sources are what set us apart. By this I mean that our principles are how we agree to be with one another, the way we are going to strive to live together in this world. And our sources are what differentiate us from other religious paths. Our sources speak to the wide range of theologies and beliefs present in our communities and the fact that we live with an open canon. For us, revelation is not sealed or closed or final. It is ever continuing in our lives and our world. It is our task to remain open to these moments of transcendence and wonder, taking the time to recognize and savor them when they occur, allowing them to teach us, shape us, transform us. Our communities encompass theists and atheists, Buddhists, pagans, Christians, Jews, and more. This is the challenge and the opportunity we live with as we work to create religious homes where we are all welcomed and valued under the same roof. In my mind, this source has to be listed first, because one of the core foundational pieces of our Unitarian Universalist history is the insistence that religion comes out of our own experience. We do not begin with how you define God, how you interpret, make sense of, or have no belief in a divine presence. We begin with your experience. It makes sense, because everything we see, hear, feel, and know is mediated by our direct experience. Whatever sources of religious knowledge that we recognize, whether words of prophets, sacred texts, ancient traditions, all of these must pass through the filter of our experience. Now, many religious traditions say that knowledge and inspiration must come through those sacred writings, ancient texts, church teachings, or church leaders. Those in authority will tell you how to encounter God and how to interpret that encounter. We say teachings and texts are irrelevant unless and until they arise from, speak to, and shape your own experience and behavior. We have no institution telling us how to encounter the divine, how to interpret it, or even that you have to have an encounter at all. And apparently, according to those who study religious trends in the United States, we are definitely on to something. Diana Butler Bass, who's an author and a teacher who explores the dimensions of religion and spirituality in our world, says that 48% of Americans claim to have had a mystical experience, and that they would label themselves as spiritual, but not religious. What these people are looking for, she tells us, is a lively connection with God and with their neighbor. And that this connection is how they define spirituality. She says that there is a spiritual spring bubbling up across this country, and says that religious traditions who want to appeal to these folks, 48%, if you want to appeal to them, you are going to have to learn how to create communities where labeling your belief system doesn't matter. The congregations of the 21st century will learn how to be better friends with one another and open to humanists, atheists, theists alike. They will be communities committed to friendship with one another and the planet, regardless of belief. They will be non-theistic, post-theistic, full of people who do not want a commitment to authority and dogma. They will be communities who strive for peace and justice and wholeness and a better human future, who are full of people who ask serious questions about their spiritual lives, who are looking for a place where they can find education and learning and wrestle with their longings to connect with a living spirit that will transform them and the world. Does this sound familiar? Bass does say that in her research she has found that the most theologically liberal congregations are the most spiritually alive, and that Unitarian Universalism is residing firmly in the territory of spiritual awakening. Why? Because we affirm and honor that above all else, our personal experience matters. It counts. It has validity and merit and has the power to transform us and the world. We agree with Sam Keen, who said, "The experience of discerning the sacred is not available on the second-hand market." So what's the sticking point? Why aren't we just having these mystical experiences all the time? Why aren't we feeling in constant connection with the powers that uphold and create life? Most of the time, what's getting in our way is us. Take this poem from Jeff Gundy, which is entitled Contemplation on Rain and Religion. I always feel more religious in the sunshine, especially if it's not too hot and the place is pretty. And most people can't afford to get there or wouldn't bother. Morning has broken and all that. And so the rattle of rain on the tarp doesn't really make me count my blessings. The stray drops that are beating on my borrowed rain pants don't bring me bliss. And the fact of fewer mosquitoes than yesterday does not make my heart leap. But I know that one day I must learn to give up for good on getting dry, to love the hiss of water meeting water, the gray lake accepting the gray rain, so little between them, our slender place between the great sky and the stones. Hold tight, I tell my heart, here we go. It is easier for me to connect with my spirit when the sun is shining, the baby is sleeping, the laundry is washed and dried and put away, and some magical, mystical being is going to appear and prepare for us the most delicious dinner. We often feel that direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder will only come under the perfect conditions, when it meets all of our preconceived notions of what it is going to be like, and it will most likely, if we are good and holy enough, be as unbelievably powerful as Moses' burning bush or Muhammad's vision from the angel Gabriel. But does it have to be a voice coming through a fiery bush to get our attention? In the Hindu tradition, there's this idea of the Upaguru, the guru next to you. This means that anything that is happening in your life at that moment can be your teacher if you have the right attitude. can we have that attitude and learn how to experience wonder in the everyday? To be open to these experiences wherever they may occur, even on a dusty village road in front of a very out-of-place giant tour bus. Children are especially good at this. And it's a shame, as Rachel Carson pointed out, that we somehow lose this as we age. The UU minister Clark Dewey Wells wrote this reminder for us many, many years ago. Shortly after twilight, our 3.5-year-old tried to gain his parents' attention to show them a shining star. The parents were busy with time and schedules, the irritabilities of the day, and other worthy preoccupations. Yes, yes, we see the star. Now I'm busy, don't bother me. On hearing this, the young one launched through the porch door, fixed us with a fiery gaze, and said, "You be glad at that star." I will not forget the incident, he says, or his perfect words. It was one of those rare moments when you get everything you need for the good of your soul. Reprimand, disclosure, and blessing. It was especially good for me, that surprising moment, because I am one who responds automatically and quite negatively to the usual exhortations to pause and be more appreciative of your life. Fortunately, he caught me grandly off guard. There is a notion with some truth in it that we cannot command joy, happiness, appreciation, fulfillment, that we do not engineer the seasons of the soul or enjoying the quality of mood. Yet I do believe there is right and wisdom in the imperative declaration, "You be glad at that star." As that well-known Zen teaching tells us, first, we have to empty our cup. We have to let go of who we think we are and all that we surely already know. All that we have to learn to quiet our minds and our hearts in order to allow both to open in the stillness so that we can learn new ways of being, ways that allow us to take the moment to be glad at a star. What experiences bring you connection? Bring you to a renewal of spirit? Those moments that catch, hold, transform your imagination. It's not the wisdom of others, not any experience created by someone else. It's learning how to pay attention to your own life. Where are you challenged? What excites you? What grabs your attention and pulls you out of yourself? Or better yet, returns you to who you truly are, the you that you sometimes forget. The times I am renewed and lifted up are the moments when I walk into the door after a long day, the baby smiles and reaches for me, and Sam comes running to tell me all about school. When I sit with someone in my office and they share with me the pain and the longing in their soul, and it forces me to take a moment to look at what's hiding in mine. It is when I am overcome by the miracle of my existence in this time and this place, and I'm compelled to look at who and what I have become while I wasn't looking. This opening to mystery and wonder is perhaps one of the greatest gifts our Unitarian Universalist faith gives to us and the world. May each of us be open to and blessed with such experiences that remind us of the mysteries within us and the wonders all around us. For when this happens, we know intimately our connection to all that lives, and we can truly live fully and deeply and become a whole and holy people. Amen. And if you will rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn,